California. I heard Tennessee, California, welcome all.
Going to our homes.
Alabama. Welcome, Alabama. Wonderful. All right, folks, we are at the top of the hour. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the lines and get this call started for us this morning. Once again, I do want to welcome you to the North American Saturday morning Fast Start training call. My name is Amy McKenzie. I'm an Emerald Executive with CJ International. And today I'm reporting in from the Leadership Summit CJ holds annually to bring the leaders together in San Diego, California. And it is really a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all this morning. Let me begin by telling you just a little bit about my background. Actually professional theater for about 30 plus years as a professional producer, writer, director, you name it. After I got started on the Zija products, it was clear to me that sharing this message, the message of Zija, was going to be my new calling. And it's one that I frankly consider to be, and I'm going to quote our founder's son here, Stephen Brailsford, a moral, ethical obligation, and yet one I take on very joyfully. So before we begin, I do once again want to encourage you, grab that pencil and paper and the Fast Start training outline if you've had a chance to print that out. You may have received an email with those links, but if not, no problem. You can access these documents easily at oneteamworldwide.com. That's all written out, all lowercase, oneteamworldwide.com. The distributor login can be found right in the upper right-hand corner. Just click on OTW members. The password is millionaire. And that's what we're here to talk about. But first, I want to give a very special welcome to our newest distributors on the line. You know, some of you may have joined within the last day or two, or this week sometime. This call is dedicated to helping you learn what it takes to build a part-time income, or full-time income if you choose. Always working part-time and from the comfort of your home, or wherever you like. Now, before we dive in, I should press this that this training is not actually for everyone. If you're looking for, let's say, a supplemental income, that's actually very easy to do because these products truly work. They're superior. If that's the case, well, then you're in the business of sharing the product and creating a customer base. Very worthy goal, and it can lead to making an extra $100 to $200 a week. Let's face it, sadly, the American average income is $30,000 or less a year. So bringing in an extra $5,000 or $10,000 a year is extremely meaningful. And for many people, it could be the difference between them losing their house or not. So this can easily be accomplished, as I say, by sharing your experience of being on the product. This training, however, is really geared more toward those of you who wish to create what we like to call a replacement job-dropping income, if you will, making not $100 a week, but say $1,000 a week. This is the case. You are now in the business of developing distribution teams, not just selling product, but teams of people distributing this product. $1,000 a week is about $50,000 a year, and that's honestly going to replace most people's full-time income in today's economy. Sad but true. So, how can this be accomplished? You know, it comes down to one thing: duplication. Duplication is the key to success, and that's one of the things, one of the most important things that we will be talking about later in the training. This particular training addresses also the next level. You know, there's those of you out there seeking life-changing income. Instead of $1,000 a week, these people are looking to make $1,000 a day or more. And this is being accomplished by developing leaders within those distribution teams. How do you do that? I'll tell you. The real secret is that you first must become a leader yourself. And that's really what today's training is all about. I would recommend doing this training more than once. Certainly takes more than once to become great at something. So let's get started. There are 3 components to this training. Number 1, creating your Zija story. Number 2, learning to duplicate a proven system. And number 3, training and orientation for new distributors. Now, as I said earlier, duplication is the key to success. Here's the catch. Duplication is inevitable. Your new distributors will do whatever you do, whether it is correct or not. Any parents out there, tell your kids anything you want to tell them. They're going to do what you do. We all know this is true. We see it all the time. And not just parents, but teachers, coaches. People do what we do, not what we say. So unless you happen to already be one of the top income earners in the company, already on that path to success, I think we've got to change it up a little and say, correct duplication is the actual key to success. Now, if you just joined, you may be wondering, can I really do this business? I will tell you right now the answer is yes. If you employ this simple 3-step system being laid out today. There's no guesswork required here, folks. You don't have to waste any time reinventing the wheel. If you can resist the temptation to do it your way and do it the way it works, I promise you, this simple, duplicatable system created by Fred Holmes can help anyone wishing to create a life-changing income begin to get into profitability literally in their first 30, 60, 90 days. So let's begin with the first component, your story. Why is this so important? Well, and actually, as a distributor, this is your most important job. And first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and refer to my background in theater here. It's human nature to be touched by that which emotionally impacts us. For instance, who on this call doesn't remember where they were when they graduated high school? Or where you got your first job, or fell in love? It is a well-recorded fact. Stories precede all written history, and in fact, they're the very origin of language, the inspiration, if you will, for the culture that we have. And just look at all the technologies that we've developed for the sake of communicating our stories. Phonographs to Kindle Fires, all art, whether it's still life or books or live performance, all of it begins with a story. Because stories are what move and connect us. People don't buy facts and figures. They buy by emotion, right? It's your story that makes all the difference in the world. So you want to master this because it is the biggest contribution that you will make. Everything else is provided for you. And that is why our system is so simple. All you have to do, and I'm going to quote the founder, Mr. Ken Brailsford here, I love this, let the product do the heavy lifting and simply share your story. So, there are 3 steps to this simple, duplicatable system. Step 1, telling our story. As I said, it's the only action we are really responsible for, because the company and our upline provide everything else for us. And that is why it's possible to get into profitability quickly and create a fast start story, why we're all here, because we don't have to know anything to begin. When someone looks to you, they're going to ask themselves 3 questions. Now, does this make sense? Can I do it? And can you teach me? And if you can answer those questions for them, they're probably going to jump in. Well, let's see. What did she do? She spent about a minute telling me what she likes about it. Well, I know what I like about it. Sent me to a website or a phone call. I could certainly do that. And then she introduced someone. Well, you know what? That's something most people can understand. And if they don't have to go and study a 300-page manual to get started, people don't have time for that. If they see that they have a 3-step system that they can duplicate, it's doable. Everybody's got 15 minutes they're wasting somewhere in their day, right? This is so important because if you can jump in and get started quickly, people will have evidence. They'll have proof that this works. They'll see, wow, right? this person was able to jump in and get into profit in that first 30, 60, 90 days. That would really make a difference for me and my family. And here's another thing to consider. If you really put your nose to the grindstone right in the beginning, follow this training. Your fast start story that you create out of this training will follow you throughout your future career. Right? You get one start, here it is. Just as our life choices become part of our history, the way you begin your Zija business defines who you are in this business. So I'm going to ask you a question to think about. What amount of time do you want to take to achieve your personal success story? All right, let's move on. There are 3 entry points you can come in with when you're speaking to someone about this. There's a personal system. I let people know it's basically enough product for your personal consumption. Like it sounds, personal system. And then, of course, we have 2 builder packages. Very simple. Builder 1 or Builder 2. And these are the packages that are designed for people seeking to build that full-time income from a part-time business. So when I was making my decision as to what package should I come into business with, I decided it would be a good idea to follow the leader and do exactly what the people that were succeeding were doing, right? Duplication. Fred Holmes, my sponsor, shared with me that he came in with a Builder 2 package for one simple reason. It would provide enough product to create the highest level of activity and thereby help him create a fast start story. See, Fred knew how to do this. And so I did it the way he did it, right? Setting the stage right there with his own initial purchase for perfect duplication. And I'll tell you what, it was the smartest thing I ever did. It was that step by step, I followed the system laid out here today, which we will go over. And as a result, I was able to enroll several, or more than several new customers, 2 new distributors. I literally paid off the credit card I purchased my package with and went into profitability in my first month in a business I've never done before. I got to tell you, folks, I was stunned. But surprisingly, the magic of the story was not actually the money. That was really cool. The magic was that I demonstrated I could do this duplicatable system. That is what propelled my business. My prospects, my friends, people in my world saw that. They saw they could make an investment and go into profitability themselves in their first 30 days, that they would have help, that I would teach them to do it, right? Makes sense? Think I can do it? Think you can teach me? So let's get down really into the basics and discuss how to create your story. There's 3 components to building your story. Number 1, what is your background and motivation? Number 2, how did you get started? And number 3, what were your results? So let's break it down. What is your background? More importantly, your motivation. People buy from people they know, or like, and trust, have some respect for, right? You can establish that very, very quickly. The why is the most important part of this topic here. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite leaders, Mr. Mike Sims. If your why, the reason you're doing this, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough. Right? Think about it. When something means a lot to you, it can bring tears to your eyes. That's how deep we want to go with this. Now for me, as much as I love my profession, frankly, it didn't provide much of a retirement plan, not one that could ensure my family's security. And like most people, bills, a mortgage, etc., I don't want to leave that to my kids, saddled with my burdens. I want to leave a wall of financial security. I realized, this is like any business or anything worth pursuing. There's good days and not so good days. It's simple. It's not always easy. But nothing worth achieving ever happens without committed effort, without passion. Passion will fuel you on the days that are hard or long or you're tired. When you think about, wait, I really need to get that new house or get out of that job. I really want to get my kids to college. Whatever your why, dig down deep to identify what it is. Write it down. Put it on sticky notes all over your house, on your dashboard. It may truly be the most important step you ever take in achieving success. It is truly the driving force that keeps you going. Put it in front of you. Let's move on to step 2. How'd you get started? What did you do? No. People want to know, what did you do? They want to know the details. What does that mean? It's what package did you choose? So, notice the beauty of step 2. You're actually planting the seeds for correct duplication by simply sharing what you did to get started, right? People do what you do, not what you say. Very important. You can start a business with Egypt for $39. Certainly don't recommend duplicating that if you're trying to build a life-changing income. Nor are you helping your new person have a chance to start a fast start. It'd be like buying a grocery store and forgetting to put product on the shelf. Not very effective. Okay. Step 2, very important. And now step 3, of course, you want to know, what were your results? What's happened? And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. You don't have to have the big diamond story. You know, more than 500, that's a really big deal, right? Because it shows you starting to make a little money. And until you have a story, well, you might need to use your upline story. Isn't that what got your attention? There's no harm in being at the beginning of this, right? It's the fact that the person sees you taking action. That's what they're looking at. And you're going to introduce them, as we'll talk about later, to those people, to your upline, so they get that greater vision. It's very, very important to tell your results, because that's what you're excited about and what you can see in the future, right? So that you can begin creating the why of your fast start. And that's where you share what all happens, right? When I learned the Fred, for instance, recruits his initial outlay in his first 2 weeks, I knew everything I needed to know, right? Because my 3 most important questions were answered. Does it make sense? Can I do this? And can you teach me? And clearly, that was all I needed to know. So, let's talk about how we do that. What are the elements of successful prospecting? All right, step 1. I'm not going to believe how simple this is. Make 2 lists. Yep. We're going to choose about a dozen people. And there's no magic to the number 12. It just works. Some people might have 24 people on each list. But you want to, I would say, have at least 12, because that's basically good odds, right? As you go down, not everyone's going to get this the first time through. You want to give yourself a really fair chance when you're getting started. And, you know, some people will say, well, I don't know that many people. I love this. Google did a survey not too long ago reporting that the average number of friends on any given Facebook account is 126. That's average. We do know. We just forget. You might have to dig a little. That first list, as you focus on this, is going to be focused mainly on people you think will be interested in the product. The second list will be focused on people you think might care about the income opportunity. So when you're dealing with the folks that are interested in the product, what are you doing? Well, you're sharing your story. Right? It goes right back to that, square one. If you ask them if they'd be willing to try a sample, give you their feedback. And I find it very, very meaningful to ask people questions. Focus on the person you're speaking to. Listen to what they have to say. David Moses, our top income earner, always says, speak to their listening. Now think about that. I had to say that thing many times to myself before I really understood what he was saying. Incredibly helpful. Right? I mean, when you're speaking to someone, very often we're so excited about what we have to share that we're sort of talking at the person. Really want to be conscious not to do that. Everybody has a different pain, if you will, a different issue. You want to be able to really listen to what that is. Find out who they are. What are they looking for? Address it specifically. That's what's meaningful, to be heard. And I'll tell you, when you walk around in this world today, you will notice very few people listening. It's a great gift to give someone. So be attentive. Pay attention. Don't let it be all about you. And I'll tell you, something that I teach all my people that I think really helps with this, consider the gift that you have. You're here for a reason, because this really touched you in some way. Embrace that piece. And remember, in the beginning, it's been a little nerve-wracking. That first phone call, breaking the ice. It gets easier, I promise. But in the beginning, what really helped me was when I realized I have a gift to give. I'm not responsible for the people who may not want it now or ever, but I am responsible for offering that gift. I've known about Microsoft before it went public and not telling anyone. That's the level of this opportunity. And the product is bar none. Who out there needs this that you haven't spoken to? And once you tell them, hey, it's up to them. You follow up, they'll let you know. If you come from your heart and you really understand, you're giving a gift and you listen to the person you're speaking to, there's never going to be any fault in that. If they don't want it, fine. Back to talking about the barbecue. But at least you did your part, right? Now, as we move into the second list, very often you're moving more into the colleagues range. So people that you think will appreciate this income opportunity. Yeah, when I first began, I assumed people who were already successful wouldn't be interested in what I had to offer. Maybe they're making six figures already. They don't need this. Well, I was really wrong. Successful business owners, it turns out, know what it means to have time freedom, because most likely they have very little of it. Let's face it, what good is it to have a six-figure income if you work 60, 70 hours a week and never get to spend time with your loved ones? People who are really busy also appreciate what it means to create residual income. How about lifetime residual income? That's possible. It's not only possible, it's being done right now. What does it matter? It doesn't matter how much money you make. The moment you stop working, the money stops coming in. That's not freedom. It's very important not to prejudge anyone on your list, or to skip adding someone because you think they won't be interested. You never know someone's real situation. How can it possibly hurt to say, hey, are you open to another stream of income? I'd like to share some information with you. No harm done. I'll tell you something else about business owners. They understand what it takes to succeed, and they know how to follow a system. Very important. When you're teaching someone how to do this, you want somebody who's going to pick up this ball and run with it. And, as you're looking through the list, looking through your life, think of all the people whose business you've supported, right? That's a great thing to do. The person you sold her your car might be willing to give you 5 minutes, don't you think? There's a lot of people, and if you're feeling stuck, there's actually a terrific resource, again, at the oneteamworldwide.com website we talked about earlier. You just log into that OT Members site there, type in the password millionaire, and you will find a very comprehensive list of all the business owners you could ever think of. It's a memory jogger. It's very helpful. Now, you've got your two lists. Now it's time for us to move on to step 2, which is to engage, right? Where the rubber hits the road. What does that actually mean? Well, I'm going to start using this system I keep referring to. And this system is available to anyone who wants to learn it. This isn't brain surgery. What I love about this business is that it literally works for anyone. It doesn't require previous education. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you do. None of it matters, right? Even for people like me with absolutely no prior experience in this business, by simply engaging and following this system, my life has changed. So, the reason, again, that it works is because it only takes 3 steps. And now we're going to get down to business. The 3 steps are, number 1, invitation. Number 2, presentation. Number 3, validation. So let's break it down one step at a time. Step 1, the invitation. Well, I got news, really good news for you. This is going to be the easiest thing that you've ever done because you've actually already learned everything you need to know about step 1. That's a fact. It's your story. Remember we just went over that? Break it down, write it down on paper. I really encourage you to go back through this training. Follow the outline. Background and motivation, right? Even share the reason that you're doing this with people. That's meaningful. What you did to get started and your results. Write it down, start reading it over, time yourself. Get yourself down to about 60 seconds because that's about all the time most people have. When you get really good at it, you can do it 30 seconds, right? To run into somebody on the street. Do it over and over until it is natural for you. So it's not reading a script. So you can actually be in your heart giving a gift and listening to the people, engaging with them as you speak it. Master it. I'm going to quote another one of my favorite leaders, Amy Stroop. Become brilliant at the basics. It will serve you throughout your entire teacher career. All right? And that's all that's asked of us as distributors, really. As the company and the upline leaders really do provide everything else we need to get started. So don't spend a lot of time in the back office. Don't spend a lot of time learning about Moringa. It's a wonderful product. You'll learn as you go. Just focus on your story and those 2 lists. Because right away, you're going to go into step 2, right? You've shared your story. What's next? Well, the presentation. They want to know the details. Well, what's in it? Or how does this work? Not your job. This is one of the hardest things for us to grasp, certainly for myself. I'm a systems person. I want to go in there and make it better and fix it and find some way to improve it, tell everything I know about it. Don't do it. It's just going to slow you down. People don't have time to learn all that. If you're an expert at this and you can rattle off an hour's worth of information, they're going to look at you and say, I don't have time to learn that. Or, I'm afraid to talk in front of people. I can't do that. I can say what I like, but that's why you have to use the presentation to succeed so that other people see that they can do this too. Even if you're really good at it, right? You really want to have feed your amnesia. Do the presentation by handing off the presentation to the experts. Companies already supply us with everything we need. You can choose from CDs, DVDs, conference calls, newspapers, brochures, websites. We've got, the phone calls. Almost every night of the week there's a phone call you can plug into. Well, one of the leaders of this company is doing that presentation for you. And really, how hard is it to send someone to a website or hand them a brochure, right? Give them a phone number. There is no need to wait to learn anything to begin creating your fast start story. All right, now that you've told your story, give them someone a sample, led them to a presentation. Finally, time for step 3, validation. This step is vital to your success. And it's funny, for some reason, it is the most often skipped step. I'm not quite sure why, but it is really worth taking a moment here to consider the importance of validation just in and of itself, the way human nature is, right? The psychology, if you will. For example, if one person tells you about a great movie, you might remember the title, but you're not likely to run out and see it. Maybe you run into someone else who tells you about that same movie or that book. You say, oh yeah, so-and-so told me about that. Geez, that probably is pretty good. Maybe I should catch that. Probably still not running off to the theater, but I'll tell you what. One more person comes along. You hear about that for a third time. Chances are very strong that you'll make a point to read that book, see that movie. That's just human nature. We need validation. We can't provide third-party validation. We're the person sharing the story. Not possible, right? And it isn't a difficult process. If you can introduce 2 people over the telephone, you're in, because that's all there is to it. Literally. I tell my folks, introduce me and apply duct tape. Your job is over. When your prospect gets to hear from someone who's already succeeding in this business, you can't duplicate that, right? You're not there yet. We're getting you off to the fast start. How can you talk about having a life-changing income if you don't have one yet? but your upline account, or whatever level they're at, maybe they're at replacement income. That's still a big deal. Heck, if you're starting to make a couple $100 within a few months, that's a big deal. When your prospect gets to hear from someone who's already succeeding in this business, no matter what level they have achieved, they get the validation they need that you can't possibly provide. So it's very, very important to do this step so they get to see the vision from the perspective of someone who's making this work. And then they also are going to realize something else. It's very important. They realize they have more than one person supporting them, that they'll have guidance in choosing their package, right? And they will have help along the way in starting this business, right? There's no I in team. We really see the leaders who are the most successful are the ones who have mastered team building, working together, and developing leaders out of those teams. So this three-step system works for one reason. The simpler you keep things, the more likely people are going to feel this is something they can do. And when they review the steps you took to introduce them, they will realize all you did was share what you liked about the product, took about a minute, gave them some information, put them on the phone with someone who has more experience. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you create correct duplication. So, you've come this far. Now it's time to step out of your comfort zone. There's only one thing going to hold you back right now, and it's yourself. So ask yourself this question. Am I willing to be uncomfortable for a little while in exchange for being comfortable for the rest of my life? And let's face it, if you did not believe that was possible, if you did not believe in this product or this opportunity, you would not be on this call right now. Make a decision. Write it down. Because this is the beginning of a new chapter of your life if you but follow this simple system. Okay, let's move on to new distributor orientation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this section. I'll tell you why. Quite simply, I want you to stay focused on the first part of this training. It's really all that matters. Yeah, there's a few things you need to know. Things like wanting to know the compensation plan. Don't worry about it. I know diamonds that still don't understand the compensation plan. Are they worried about it? No. No, they're buying the dream houses by working with Beach International, by following the system. Don't get bogged down in your office. Don't get bogged down with any of the stuff we're going to cover. You know, go through it once lightly with your new people. They know where it is. They can come to you when they need help because you're stepping in for them as if they are you and you are them until they're on their feet with this, right? You're not going anywhere. So know that that support will be there. But we will touch on a few things. For instance, lifeline or power line call, that is really important. If your sponsor is doing the system properly, you already know they're sponsored because you were introduced to them, remember, during that validation call. Now it's time to meet the next actively engaged upline, the rest of your team, as it were. And ideally, this is going to happen in the first 24 to 48 hours of enrollment because you want to create an even greater vision of what's possible to achieve with Zika, right? Why is this important? The greater the vision, the faster we grow. You also want to strengthen the concept of team. So, set some goals. Focus on your why, as we talked about earlier. When it comes to goal setting, as a director, knowing I have to open a play by a certain date isn't enough, right? And to say, okay, we're opening in a month, see ya, not going to work. I need to understand how to break down my rehearsal schedule in order to have the cast ready by opening night. And the best technique I've ever found is to begin at my end goal and then back into my schedule. That way I know it's achievable. I've taken it into bite-sized pieces, if you will. Because that huge entity by itself is overwhelming. When you break it down to dress rehearsal, tech rehearsal, running the acts, doing the scenes, all the way back to the beginning where you're figuring out how long it takes to get these people on their feet with their script in their hand and show them where to go. That's basically what you're doing here, okay? And set your goals to fit, then, within the framework of the responsibilities. You can say, I want to go gold. But if you've got 15 minutes a day, oh, yeah, I want to go it this week, that's not practical. What can you do in those 15 minutes? Break it down and see where that can lead you. It's going to really help you. And put it in writing. I don't know why. It's so powerful. But laying it out, getting that schedule mapped out for yourself and setting those goals will serve you very, very well. So let's talk about the time commitment, right? Whatever the appropriate amount of time is for you, again, commit that in writing. Make a schedule. This is a business, right? This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. That's why you like it. Treat it like a business. And I will say, in terms of a long-term commitment, I would commit to at least 1 year, very minimum, so that you can benefit from your efforts a little bit to get going, get started. Even with a fast start, that momentum will build, certainly. But you want to be able to really see that this works for you. This requires a daily method of operation, in other words, just like any job does. And, when you look at it, let's say you picked 3 years. I want to retire in 3 years with the company. I mean, 3 to 5. What if it took 5 years? Is there any reason in your mind to think that that's too long when most people spend 30 years in a career and the retirement doesn't even come close to what the potential is here, right? Give that some serious thought, because that's going to make the difference for you. Setting those goals and check back with them. You'll be surprised as you accomplish those. You're going to have to re-up them. Stay on top of that. Very important to review what you've done, right? Take an assessment, make a new plan. Do that regularly. It will really serve you well. Let's move on to orientation here. Again, I'm just going to spend a few minutes on this, because the number one thing a new distributor wants to be doing to get into profitability quickly is to start contacting those people you wrote down on your list. Not enough to say, oh yeah, I've got people in my contact base. No, you got to put them down on paper, on a list, and then you actually have to call them. Yeah. As you're doing this, you got somebody that gets started. Okay, what are the 6 most important points that cover the path to success if you printed that out? Well, yeah, you're going to have to give a back office tour. You want your person to know how to log in. Make sure your new distributors know their username and their password, of course. And there's so much training and support available in the back office under the ZD University. And that's really thanks to corporate and Pat Anderson, one of our top leaders in the company. She conceived the concept of ZD University. And you'll learn a lot. Just, plug in. You might have 5 minutes here or there. There's short videos. Do what you can each day to progress a little bit in your personal development. Then you're going to want to help personalize their website with their name, email, and phone number. And make sure those are correct. It's very important that their website is set up. And encourage people to write down that story they've been working on, right? And put it there, the place you can actually download, or upload, I should say, your story and your picture. Personalize it, very important, so they can begin using that, helping to build their business quickly. You also let them know about ProPay, which I just love. It's after your 4th check, you become eligible for it's basically your, company debit card. And it's very easy to do. It's under the commissions tab. And it's very useful. I tell you, you get that credit card with the Visa on it. That can encourage conversation, which can lead, of course, to sharing your story. And we've covered the rest of what can happen from there. So make sure they're aware that exists. And then naturally you want to show them how to enroll customers and new distributors. Show them how to view their genealogy so that they can see how to place new enrollees within their organization, right? Very important that we teach people how to build on the outside of their legs so that they can continually strengthen, encourage, and create momentum for those coming in below them. And then, of course, how to place a personal order and control their own auto ship. But that doesn't need to take a lot of time, once again, because you'll be there with them every step of the way. You're also going to want to send them to oneteamworldwide.com. I like to do this the same day someone enrolls. There's an OTW newsletter there. This is all provided by our master distributor, David Moses. And it's a wonderful gift to us, incredible training. We want to be able to keep these folks up with the upcoming events, newsletters, conference calls, new tools. This keeps people engaged, keeps them part of the system. Again, we really want to duplicate this. So you have them sign up for the newsletter. And I also encourage you to have them print out the conference call schedule. Don't underestimate the power of these conference calls. This is part of our system for training, for leadership development, opportunity presentations. For me personally, I plugged into probably 3 calls a week getting started. The Millionaires in Training, wonderful call that David hosts. It's every Monday night, and we want to get that mindset. It's more than just doing the work here. You want to start to change your mindset, and that's very helpful. With the Tuesday and Thursday opportunity calls, then we're not doing the presentation. Well, sometimes I didn't have a guest. I would listen to the call anyway, because one, I would hear someone else's story, help me learn how to refine my story, encouraged me, gave me fodder as I was new. I didn't have a lot of story yet, something to share with people. So I heard about this one guy, right? And also, over time, that information seeps in. The day that you are becoming that leader, you're ready on so many levels. In fact, you'll hear, as you get to know the leaders in this company, every week, top leaders in the company still plugging into those calls, right? Duplicate their actions. Follow the leader. And I must say that showing them the training videos, there's some great stuff to help them develop their skill set that David's put together. He's got an incredible DVD training, learning from the best. Take a look at that. And then, of course, we'll let them know that we also have archived training and product calls. So let's say your person isn't available at our weekly conference call time. That's okay. You can send them to a link. In fact, you can listen to the link with them at the same time, just as if you were three-waying them into the call, which is a great way to do that, by the way. It's kind of like if you're taking someone to a party, right? Well, I'll pick you up on the way. That's really a wonderful thing to do when you're introducing a presentation to someone. Hey, I'll call you about 5 minutes beforehand and get you in on the call. And then you can announce yourself and your guest as well. So it's a wonderful technique to be able to make someone feel really included and special. And then, of course, I'm going to recommend that you print out and review the different promotions that we have. If you're not aware of the speed qualifier for Team 250 when you begin, you've cut your wrists on this. I mean, to be able to come into this business and in 30 days with your first 2 people signing up and going on ownership, you can literally go into a zero overhead business. I mean, that's incredible. We want to make sure people are right on top of that so they can jump in and take advantage of that, right? I mean, that's literally simply enrolling 2 people with our Smart Pack. Look them up. There's a huge variety of Smart Packs. Encourage them to duplicate this by letting their prospects know how simple it is to get product paid for by the company. It's a brilliant promotion. And you might even just encourage them to consider that you do not have to be at the top of the company to qualify for our luxury car program. Show them the Team Benz program. It's really something to get paid every week to go out and buy, or every month to go out and buy a Mercedes-Benz. And it's in about the mid-level range. Very achievable. Show them how they can get there. Okay? And that's really all there is to it, my friends. Amazingly, you have literally just been given everything you need to create a lifetime of residual income in just a few short years with Vija International. In fact, the temptation will be to complicate it. Oh, it's 1 page. To dismiss this. Well, this represents almost 30 years of experience when Mr. Holmes put this training together. There's a reason it's 1 page, so that we don't complicate it, so that we stay focused on a simple, duplicatable system. In fact, I think it's so simple that that's maybe one reason many of us miss it until we finally realize, wow, this really is the way to do it, because it works. I promise you. And unless you actually commit to doing the steps outlined for you here, this is just another call. Make sure you complete the assignments, if you will. Write the story. Write down your goals. Make the time commitment. Right? Otherwise, this is just a piece of paper and 45 minutes of your time. Make this the beginning of a new chapter in your life. And so I will close out this call with this suggestion. Find your why. your burning passion that, as our founder, Ken Brailsford, says, is so strong, it lights a fire in your belly. And then remind yourself again and again at the start of each new day why you are doing this. Because your why will be the torch that lights your path and leads you ever forward. You can do this if you but just do it. With that, I open up the call. God bless everyone. Great call. Thank you. Awesome call. Let's keep the same. How's it going? Thank you.